she's really good. And that girl she fought was tough.
Fanny Redmond's really good. I watched her come through the IMAF tournament, and she was in one of my seminars as well out in Sweden. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Talented.
And she looked like an athlete.
Fighter. She's good.
I mean,
I thought it was going to be a much tougher test for Corey. I really did.
Dude, Corey's going to make gains and gains and gains. She does these. Her dad's a sprinter, and so she has her own sprint workouts, and she has her own little diet. She like won't vary from the diet. Like I'll get her, you know, she has like, I just have white meat fish and this and that, and I'm like, you sure you don't want some salmon? No, just white meat fish. Like,
wow,
it's pretty cool. I like her.
So why are you back fighting then? What was the driving force in that?
Man, there was well, first off, I've been itching to fight. Like, just people have been pissing me off throughout like retirement a little bit, just in different ways here and there. And the reason that I retired in the first place was purely because I wanted to. I just felt like it. Mm-hmm. And you know, I had exhausted my title run. Well, I had like 4 title shots in the UFC, and then I had lost 2 fights in a row for the first time in my career, even though they were just kind of lackluster decisions. Once against Dominic Cruz and once against not Frankie, Jimmy Rivera. And really had a hard time getting up for that Jim Rivera guy. I didn't really know who he was and everything else. And it's like, all right, you know. And then I had my last fight. It was my hometown in the arena that like helped save our city, and I just was like, you know what? I feel like I needed to slow down because I wanted to focus on family. I wanted to get some other things situated. I wanted to give my body a break because I've been going nonstop for 20 plus years, and I did all that, and I feel like, you know, stepping back and looking at the fight game, you realize, and you've probably done it as well, like the reasons why you stand out and the reasons why you have success, and it has nothing to do with age, because you get 21-year-old guys that are great athletes but can't focus and don't believe in themselves, and then you got people with natural gifts that blow it, and then you've got people that have no natural gifts that work through it, and you start seeing and you get motivated by some of your teammates and people you know, and then you get like let down by people you know, and like see what the mistakes are, and I just realized that my passion is mixed martial arts, and even in retirement I have the same regimen. I'm in practice every single day. My favorite way to work out is doing jiu-jitsu, so I do jiu-jitsu 3 days a week hard, like go, 2 hours straight rolling, no problem, and my body feels good, and I've settled a lot of stuff that I needed to slow down to do, like establishing. I've got 3 gyms set up. We produced our first movie, and we're about to sell that, and and I've got my baby, which is like a whole new type of motivation. Dude, everything else. The
photos and videos you've been posting are amazing.
Oh, man.
It's your first child, right?
It's first child, yeah. And I've always changed things. Well, and that's a good question, because I've always felt like and when I wrote down my goals and everything, I always thought I want to be a father, and I had the idea of being an older dad, but at 25 that means 32.
Yeah, right.
At 32 that means 37. At 37 that means now 40. So just life kept happening, career keeps happening, here, there, not time enough to focus on that kind of thing. And so that was a big reason why I decided to slow things down. And now that's situated, and feel like I've got a good establishment of where I want to go next. It's just motivating. Mm-hmm. It's having someone else that depends on you, somebody that hasn't been there prior but feels like they've always been there. That's kind of what it is with the kid, and so honestly, when I retired in the sport, when I fought Jimmy Rivera, I was ranked number 2. I lost to him. That put me at number 6 or number 7, and I fought the last fight against Pickett, and then retired ranked number 6 or 7 in the world. And I had just lost a decision to Dominic Cruz, 5-round decision to Dominic Cruz, and I had kind of a lackluster, could have done better in that fight with Jimmy Rivera, obviously. And so looking at today's landscape, I just know that I can compete easily. I've stayed in great shape, and it sounds like fun, and the reason I stopped is because I decided I wanted to, and the reason I'm coming back is because I've decided I want to.
So this is like you're thinking title runs now. This is not just like a couple of fights. This is like you could put a good run together here.
Well, I always think like that.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're getting
you
into
finished
sport,
at the top of your game, as you said. So it's. I wondered whether you were going to come back and have a couple of fights because you had that in you. That's kind of how I feel. Like I want a couple of fights, but I'm not interested in running for a belt or anything like that. But that's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting, and I think that, and it's not necessarily like, hey, I'm going to go for a title run per se. I feel like I can, but I see fighters all the time that come back and like, oh, does he not know he's like a step behind, et cetera, et cetera. And
would you guys be honest with you if they felt that? You reckon?
Yeah, they're already honest with me.
They're always telling you.
They're already like depending on the person, you know. But at the end of the day, when somebody goes with me in the room, I mean that trumps all.
Yeah,
You see where you stand, and
here's a question for you, because obviously you're a new father. We've got Cowboy, who's having a real resurgence, who's a new father as well. Have you seen it in your fighters before, when you've been coaching a fighter before they've had kids, they've had a child, and then their mentality's changed for the better or worse?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen it, I mean, for better and for worse. I think I've seen a couple of situations where somebody maybe was missing that portion, maybe a father figure or something else, and that becomes like their new focus and energy and kind of softens them. And they lose kind of the anger and drive or whatever got them to that point. For guys like me, it's always been a part of my bigger picture anyways, and what I was fighting for, to have a family someday. And now that you have it, you didn't, a new reality of what kind of feelings that are involved with being a father. It's a different animal. So, and I've seen that, time and time again. So, I mean, maybe even some of these guys that are cheaters, maybe they're like, I know in my heart I don't have what it takes, but I'm going to provide for this little kid or what. I mean, however they put that thing together. But
is the comeback easier now the drama with TJ and Cody's died down somewhat? Because that kind of seemed to be the whole focus around the gym for a long while, and that must have been kind of exhausting.
Yeah, it's very exhausting, and to be honest, I'm a guy, like, when I sit back and look at one of the reasons why I would stop is because I'm fostering all this talent and passing torches, like passed to TJ at the end of my fight against Burrell when it got stopped early. I had my thumbs up. I said, give this young kid a chance. He's next in line. He deserves it. Boom. TJ gets the shot. Did the same thing with Cody. I've got new guys in the gym that like a Song Yadong, who I feel is going to be a champion. He's amazing.
He's a killer. He's amazing.
And I feel like my fairy tale land is you pass the torch and like they take it and run and everything else. But at the end of the day, this is a dog eat dog world, and you don't get to make the fairy tale stories happen. And at this point, me coming back and taking a fight right away, I don't know what that means necessarily in title contention, etc. Maybe it's just a one-off thing. But when I focus on something, I'm there to be the best. Obviously, that's like in these grappling matches I'm doing. I went against Paulo Miao, who's a 7-time world champ. It's only my 3rd jiu-jitsu match I've ever done. And then I have Sakuraba, who's a legend, who is one of the guys that got me into the sport. That's like the 4th match I've ever done.
Dude, that quintet was amazing.
That
was amazing. Yeah, I actually walked up and Sakuraba was standing outside just after his match with you, and I could tell that you'd taken him by surprise. Like he wasn't expecting you to be as slick and as strong and as good as you were.
Yeah, he told his guy, he said, "Holy crap, that guy's strong as a bull."
Yeah, right.
I was 10 pounds heavier than I am right now. Bro.
Really?
Yeah.
So have you changed anything for training for this? Have you are you like rolling into this like it's an easy weekend to like away, or are you focusing on this like it's proper competition? Because I mean, you're playing like outdoor chess, and I think Corey's going to be coming back soon to challenge you for the rematch.
I love Corey McKenna. Corey McKenna is going to be a champ. You guys watch. You guys see. I know you know that, but talk about unassuming. For me, this competition is purely fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I do 3 days a week of jiu-jitsu because I love it, and I'm in there rolling with like super tough guys. And honestly, my idea was I'm going to take this really serious. But in the back of my mind, I knew why. And when I think about, hey, I'm going to train really hard for jiu-jitsu, I just can't do it. I just end up training for MMA anyways, you know. It's like, okay, then I'm going to get some mitts in, and then I'm going to do this. So, I mean, I appreciate the sole focus of Nicky and like Gordon Ryan and those guys where they're just focused on jiu-jitsu. And of course, I'm doing the challenge because I love big challenges, and it's one of those things where I'm, you know, going to enjoy, and I have a lot of respect for Nicky, and I think if he can beat me, or we can have this match, and it gets him some sort of clout with his dedication and everything else, he absolutely deserves it. But for me, this is fun. Free trip to the UK,
right?
Good little competition, a reason to lose some weight, and keep the wheels turning about a fight again. And you know, just accepted the fight yesterday. So I don't know if that's supposed to be put out yet, but
well, we won't put the name in it until we see it announced by the UFC. But it's a good matchup. Yeah,
I think so too. So yeah, man, it's been. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons too. I feel like, you know, you talk about when you're out of the limelight, and of course you never really, you know as well as I do, just because you're fight doesn't mean people don't recognize you and appreciate you and everything else. But you can see some weasels come through, you know, like the people that are shade balls, and like now all of a sudden you're not as influential, and so they can turn on you and that kind of stuff. You see that stuff, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
So like there's little pieces of that throughout that have been kind of irking me, and I'm just like, man, I feel like I like to beat this person up, or feel like that kind of thing. Then on the business side of things, there's like all these opportunities. You know, I've talked about, you know, I've got these gyms going, and I've got some real estate projects going, some entertainment stuff going, and as an entrepreneur, you're always thinking, oh, how can I raise some funds for this or get an investor in that? And I'm like, I've been itching to fight, and you can just go raise the funds yourself,
right? And
you know, this money could turn into this money, could turn into that money, because I know how to do that, which not every fighter can do. Then you got guys like, you know, Conor McGregor and I talk on occasion, and he's always like clawing at me, go get that snake, go get that weasel, jump out and surprise him now that he's got caught cheating, you know, this and that, and you know, you have other sentiment about that, and he's like, the story's not over, you know how Conor is. Like
he's a showman, right?
He's hilarious, but like we have little private conversations on occasion like that, and I'm just thinking, like, my mouth's kind of like little watering at like all these different opportunities, and it sounds like fun, which...
So we got McGregor to thank for your comeback then?
He'd like to think so, probably. No, but yeah, so there's all sorts of little bits and pieces, you know, reigniting the fire of my guys. You know, when you step away as an active leader, and I don't like to babysit guys and chase guys, I end up I've set a program at our gym. We've got about 10 different coaches, high-level guys, some of the best, you know, practitioners in the world, like Lee Kemp, for example, who's one of the most successful wrestlers of all time, and Chris Holdsworth, who was undefeated and had his injury, and Danny Castillo, that was a staple in the UFC for so long, and Mike Malott, that is a really, really smart guy that's a master of jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai and blending it all together, and Fabio Prado, who's been with me for over 10 years, and Dustin Ekbari, who's been with me for 15 years. Like, these guys are there every day, but an active leader who's doing the right things, it happens on occasion where guys get to a higher level and then they don't want to do the things that they're doing before. They don't want to do like just the grimy stuff that has worked. And I've always been, even out of competition, I'm back in the gym just as much, if not more. And so leading by example is another thing that I think is a good reminder for these guys. Like, look, guys, took a couple years off, never got out of shape. I'm going to come in, put a hard camp of focus like I'm saying that we should, and I'm going to get a big W and sneak back in there.
And you're seeing that translate into some of these other fights you've got. You mentioned Song Yadong, we've got Corey McKenna over there as well.
Right.
Like, you're seeing that mentality translate into those fighters now.
I mean, here's the frustrating thing. In a team like ours, and people are always like wanting to know the ins and outs of this and looking for drama to talk about and talk shit or praise you or whatever it is, the guys that are going to stand out are going to stand out. Like, for here, and I really love the Train with Tam guys. We have Train with Tam guys that basically pay from all over the world to come in, stay in the fighter house, come train with the team, and they're already self-motivated. You know, they've sacrificed to get out there. Like Nad Naramini and Corey McKenna, and Mason, who's out with us right now. He's
Yep.
actually in the what's Mason's last name?
Jones.
Mason Jones. Mason's a stud too.
Heavy hands.
He's in, and believes in himself, like, and he's
Yeah.
juggling a lot of things too. He's a talented guy. Like those guys, when they show up, they're there to grind, to take advantage of it, etc. And that's motivating. And then there's guys like, I've got a kid, Cleo Romero, who's a state runner-up in California, and he's 4-1 right now, and just grinds in the gym. And then you've got other guys that you're like constantly harping, like texting, like, hey, how come you're not in practice? Oh, sorry, my ankle is, we'll see, but I'll be there later today, that kind of stuff. So it's going to be hit and miss, but the guys that'll find the way are going to find the way, and we're just trying to show them. And I'm not a babysitter. I don't coach everybody. I've got a couple guys that I coach, and then I set a program that anybody can take advantage of.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see you back in competition.
Thanks, buddy.
Jiu-jitsu and then MMA. I mean, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Dude, exciting.
Thanks, brother.
Enjoy tonight.
Yeah.
Good talking to you as always.
Absolutely. And the Raptors. Shout out to the Raptors.
Blowing up YouTube, man. Thank you.
You got
Good
it,
to see
brother.
you, man.